This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to outpostroastersjc.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for.
You know, patchouli is like one of the smells that truly divides people. You either love patchouli or you hate it. And one time, gosh, I don't know when it was, a couple years ago. Wait, was it? Maybe. I was at a grocery store. I was at a Trader Joe's and I was just getting some groceries, right? And there was a girl probably like 10 feet away from me and she stopped. She was an employee. She stopped what she was doing and she was like, someone's wearing patchouli. And then I was sitting there and I was like, it's me. And then I just was looking and I was like, and I looked at her and I just kind of like smiled. And then I was like, I'm going to walk away. So then I just like walked away. But it was so funny because she literally stopped what she was doing and she was so offended by my patchouli. Then I laughed and now it's a story. I wonder when she tells somebody that story, what it sounds like. One day while I was at work, like a movie trailer.
Would you
Uh,
believe she had patchouli?
yeah.
Like I can stand the lighter of the scent, but
Yeah.
this man, he would come perform. So he bought time, and had been a former DJ at where I worked, and he would wear so much of it that you would have to air the station out for the Monday and Tuesday after that Saturday night. Like they had to open all the doors and forget security
Yeah.
protocols and air out the station.
Did he just bathe in patchouli? And I guess he probably didn't shower. He just kept piling it on, right?
No, he did it as part of his gimmick.
Oh.
He wore these he
But
looked
wait, radio?
yes,
But nobody can smell him through the radio waves.
but he looked like a reject member of Kiss. Perfectly.
Okay.
And he wore and even on the radio, he wore the tight leather pants.
Okay.
He wore the wig. He wore the full face makeup.
Hmm.
And yeah, he
So he
was
committed.
he committed all the way.
Yeah.
And of course he changed his voice. It sounded like a cross between somebody trying to do a bad Sling Blade impression and a DJ.
Mm.
And bathed in
Interesting.
patchouli. And it's like,
Okay.
dude, nobody can see you.
Yeah. Weird.
Why do all this? But
Yeah. But here we are learning. What was his name?
oh, what was his name? I think his real name was Mike James, and he was the
Okay.
Tennessee Midnight Rambler.
Okay. So could I find him on YouTube?
You
to hear what
can.
he sounds like?
Yes, you
Okay.
can find tons of stuff on YouTube of him.
Midnight Rambler.
The
Okay.
Tennessee Midnight Rambler.
Okay, well, that's good. All right. So, Crystal, thank you so much for coming here this morning. Could you give your name and how we met was through the chamber, I guess, right? And through Joe.
It is. So my name is Crystal Stanley Carter, and we met through the chamber because I somehow accidentally became an AI nerd. and I totally was just going to build a website, and before I
Yeah.
knew it, I was knee deep in AI, and I haven't let it go since.
Nice. Well, that's pretty much how we met you because Brian has been like fully immersed also in doing all the things with AI, and all of us were small business owners, and so we all just ended up meeting Joe, trying to figure out how to do this marketing together. So what is your business? Let people know.
So the business that I own is called Appalachian AI Marketing, where I just teach small businesses and weirdly, not really for money, but I just got tired of small businesses closing.
Mhm.
And so if I can teach them a few tricks and either send them on to Joe when they get bigger or to a creative house. But
Yeah.
when you're starting out,
Uh-huh.
the thing that you don't account for is your marketing budget.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you think, okay, I'll make a few posts on Facebook, and then you're like, okay, what am I going to post? Or nobody liked that post, or what am I going to do? And it took me a while to get out of that set that sometimes people aren't going to like the post at all. It doesn't mean they don't see it.
Yeah, for sure.
or they're not going to respond. And so I thought if I could keep small businesses from closing, and then I have a second business that is finally getting off. When I say this is a labor of love, like 5 years of, and it's called Appalachian Vibes Media. And
Mhm.
so what it is going to be used for, and it's also not one to like generate a ton of money, but it's to highlight Appalachia because I am 100,000% Appalachian. Like there is no part of me that is not. And I think that we have a very negative perception of us, and
Mhm.
I would like for the world to see a different one.
Mm. Well, that's cool. First, I think starting with the word Appalachia and Appalachian because I grew up in the Midwest. And so when I grew up, I learned the word as Appalachian. And so I had no idea until we got here in 2023 that it was to everybody here in the South pronounced Appalachian. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta say it right. And then I saw it on a T-shirt too, La Cha, like CHA, and I was like, I actually need that shirt. It's an awesome shirt. But so your family has always been here in Appalachia and East Tennessee or West Virginia? Virginia? I don't remember.
Virginia. It's
Okay.
the southwestern tip of Virginia in the middle
Mm,
of the coal fields.
okay.
And I grew up in a small county. It had like 4,000 people in it. And there were no opportunities to go to school to do what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I moved to Johnson City when I graduated, and I've been here ever since because unfortunately there was nothing to go back to unless you want to be a coal miner, a
Mm-hmm.
teacher, a banker, or work kind of a blue collar job at a convenience store or restaurant. You're not going to get to do what I get to do every day. So
Yeah. So you came here to Johnson City to the mountains, but you still had mountains there. It's not like it's that far. Do you how often do you get home?
no, it's about 2 hours to home. I
Okay.
don't very often anymore, 3, 4 times a year, because my parents moved over here when my oldest was born.
Oh, nice.
And as kind of family passes on and things like that, and you have extended family there. I have tons of extended family and they're beautiful, but it's kind of like, well, I work every other Saturday
Hmm.
and Sunday is spent trying to reset. And so then you just get to where you don't get home as often. But I lived in one of the most beautiful places on earth. There is a space where you can go up and see 4 states.
Hmm.
It's a rock that we used to climb through the crevices. Now they have like 800 stairs that you can climb. I would rather go through the crevices.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. But what town is it? Can you say it?
It's Clintwood,
Oh,
Virginia.
okay.
Oh yeah.
Clintwood, Virginia. Okay.
I have
Okay.
no secrets ever. My
Okay.
entire life is on display all the time. So
Well, I feel like thanks to the internet, everybody, I mean, all the information's really there anyways, if anyone really wants to find all of it. You know, everything is so documented these days. But Clintwood, Virginia. Is
mhm.
that where's the Creeper Trail?
The Creeper Trail is in Abingdon, Damascus. So
Oh,
that's about
okay.
an
Okay.
hour away. We are very close to the Kentucky line on
Oh,
one side
okay.
of our county and the West Virginia line on the other.
I remember when you were first telling us about the Creeper Trail because we heard about it. We're like, what the heck is this Creeper Trail? It sounds awful, but it also kind of sounds interesting. But what is the Creeper Trail?
So the Creeper Trail is a trail for hiking and especially biking, and it goes from Abingdon through Damascus up to I think almost Chilhowie or Withville in Virginia. So it's a very beautiful ride, very wonderful scenery, and it's had a lot of work done to it thanks to the hurricane.
Yeah.
But they've managed to open it back up. But biking through it is just beautiful.
Well, why is it called the Creeper Trail?
That I have never explored.
Brian.
I think it's because of the creeper vines.
Oh, okay. All right. Brian's going to look it up. A train?
I could very well see it being because of a train because we have trains everywhere
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It's just, it just makes me laugh. The Creeper Trail. It just sounds. You found it, Brian?
Sounds like something for serial killers.
Like there's just somebody like in Homer Simpson that gif of where he like retreats into the bushes. It's like there's just a bunch of people standing there in the bushes, just like creeping. It's a rail trail. So the railroad was just called Creeper. Type of a train. Oh, we can make up a better story than that.
I should. We should
Yeah.
get the AIs to make a better story.
Now, well, I think we have to create the story, and then we can have AI enhance it. That way, we keep our integrity, our brains going, because otherwise, then the computers take over. Um, but I digress. So, all right, Creeper Trail. We haven't been to it yet. That's one of those things that's on our list. We want to take the boys. Probably take them with their scooters. Is it paved?
It is paved and it would do well with the scooters.
Okay. Is this what?
It's from the old railroad and the native vine associated.
Oh, you were right. The old railroad and the native vine, the creeper vine, which makes sense because vines definitely, they all kind of do that. Oh, that's cool. Are you seeing pictures of the creeper trail now? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I want to see it. We do need to go. I know that the hurricane definitely kind of rocked some of that as it did a lot of our region. We had one of our, I think Lance was what? The first couple of guests we had on, right? Yeah. He is a pastor at Unicoi Christian Church, and then he's also a volunteer firefighter. And so he did a lot of work. And then his church kind of became a hub for a lot of the donations and just things because they were right there, in Unicoi. So he said that he didn't leave Unicoi County for probably about a month after it happened because he was just, I don't even know how many hours a day that he was, being a pastor and then volunteering and all the things. And I know that you were really heavily impacted by the hurricane too.
So I drove through the hurricane.
Yeah.
I had a client and I was going to Richlands, Virginia. We were going to leave for the beach the next day, which obviously did not happen.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thought, I'm just going to take the day before off. I'm going to go over there, get the shots that I need. And I get up really early. I'm driving through it. The car is shaking, and I'm like, oh, this is a heavy storm. Don't even think anything about it because hurricanes are not supposed to meet the mountains.
Yeah.
According to my ninth grade earth science teacher
Mhm.
and Miss Blevins, you are wrong wherever you are. Hurricanes can definitely hit the mountains.
Yeah.
I drove straight through it. I really didn't know the impact until I was on the phone with a different client of mine. And we had a legislator that happened to be in the background where he was at. And what she was doing was trying to get Virginia to land Black Hawk helicopters onto the roof of Unicoi County Hospital. She has a very southern twang. I won't call her out or anything, but most people would know who she is. And she was, I don't want to say being demanding, but she was trying to get them here because it was going to take too long to get them from anywhere in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It just would have been a tragic ending. And of course, it was in Unicoi for 6 other individuals. So I did get this really unique look. And then we stayed on the air and I stayed on late doing things for probably the next 2 weeks, but especially that next week, letting everybody know where they would be able to get supplies, where they would be dropped, where people were taking them. And then a couple of times we got up early and went and helped our friend Lou pack up and deliver stuff because he went all across the countryside doing stuff, which, I reached them because they could only get through their car radios and stereos, which is what happens during something like this. Everybody says, oh, streaming services are great, and they are. I am not. But when a tragedy happens, you're going to get good old AM FM radio. And so we put it to work doing what it's most useful at, and hopefully we're able to help a lot of people.
Yeah. So when you say on the air, because you're also on the air, right?
I am. I work for Holston Valley Broadcasting. I do news for WTFM and for their ESPN station, WKPT. And then I do a current affairs television show for their television stations, Cozy and Me TV, called A Closer Look. And then in the afternoons, I transform into a completely different personality and I rock out the airwaves from 3 to 7 doing classic rock.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty awesome. All right. So what's your favorite thing to do out of all of those? Do you like the music? Do you like the news? Do you like current affairs? What, or all combo of all of it?
A combination of all of it. This is truly the perfect job for me because it's everything I want to do and it's all in one thing.
So when you were growing up, did you know that you wanted to do this?
From the day that the Challenger exploded,
Oh, okay.
I watched a lot of coverage on the television and
Yeah.
I said, that's what I'm going to do. And there was never any question. I never faltered on it. I was going to be a news person.
Hmm.
That just, and so I went to radio when I was 17.
Hmm.
And then I went to college. I do everything kind of backwards most places. So and then got the thing and then went and I am on my final stop here of what I call the big three. So
Hmm.
I have worked at all three major radio groups in the area.
That's cool. So how do you find all your stories and everything for your current affairs or even the news?
So lots of times we get stuff from press releases, which get sent out by
Hmm.
police or churches or whatever event is happening. Sometimes you will see it on another channel, so you have to call maybe the person and get it confirmed because you don't want to just take
Yeah.
their word for it with it being another station, and you
Yeah.
certainly don't want to take their story. And so I find them there. Sometimes I have people who call or write who say, "Hey, this would be perfect. Will you put this on the air?"
Hmm.
And of course, if I can, I will.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that we've reached out to you with a couple different locals with different stories and things going on, events and stuff like that. So it's cool. It's cool to have that person too that we can text and be like, "Hey, Crystal, check this out." Whether it goes on or off, like that's cool. But it's just fun to have that personal connection with somebody to be able to help get the word out for something if it needs be.
And for me to have people that help that can say, "I know a person," because I'm not everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I am, but
Well, you can't be. So then for classic rock, do you channel what was the name of that DJ? The patchouli guy?
oh, his name was the Tennessee Midnight
The
Rambler,
Tennessee
and
Midnight Rambler. Did he do classic rock? What was his music of choice?
he did do classic rock, but no, I try to be the antithesis. I am entirely um I am a cross between who I would really like to be sometimes
Okay.
because I don't have to keep it as nice. I can be a little bit sassier. I still keep it 100% Appalachia. This accent does not change. I
Hmm.
don't change to Midwestern to do news. I don't change to Midwestern to be a jock on the radio. I keep my accent and I tell stories. So sometimes they'll be about me and my trips to pals. Sometimes it'll be some outrageous thing that I read on the internet.
Hmm.
And then I do two specific segments every day. One of them is useless knowledge because I retain a ton of it in my head from just weird facts I read. And
Hmm.
I thought I should punish people with this and
Yeah.
make them like let it live rent free in their head. And then I do a dumb criminal every day, usually from the state of Florida, have to say. And
That's where
it
they come from?
Florida has its own
Uh,
page on the smoking gun. That's all I can say. They have its own specific section just for Florida crime.
okay. What's the smoking gun?
The Smoking Gun is a website that
Oh,
tells
okay.
you all kinds of insane crime stories.
Okay. And they're all true insane crime stories?
They're all true. So every dumb criminal story I tell is vetted from a news agency.
So is it just like a web page and you just click it's alphabetical by the states and you can see, or is it just like a free for all, just all the dumb crimes? They just happen to be mostly from Florida.
So we subscribe to a service,
Okay.
and on it is called the Complete Sheet, and it gives you radio prep things. So interesting things that you can talk about.
Okay.
So they have a dumb criminal every day, and they have a thing called Stupid Plus, which generally links you to the smoking gun. So I read through all of those stories every day, and I just pick the most outrageous one, unless it has really super adult content. Because the one
Yeah.
thing I try to do with my show is be the show that parents can have their kids in the car and listen to.
Hmm.
And at the end of it, there's not going to be a lot of questions
Hmm.
about, like, hey, what's this?
Hmm.
Or so I try to keep it PG.
Hmm.
There are some well known things that I will rename or use its classic nickname.
Hmm.
For instance, Mary Jane. Most
Hmm.
adults are going to know what this is, most kids aren't going to question it.
Hmm.
Um, I will say like unclothed or naked instead of,
Hmm.
naked, but I try to keep any kind of content that's like sexually related or something off the thing because it doesn't just stop at 3 when the buses are rolling. You've got your kids in the car at 5, taking them to soccer or to baseball.
Hmm.
They're there at 6. So I want it to be something that everybody can listen to, but
Yeah.
still be a little bit entertained.
Well, thank you for that. As somebody with small children and having to explain things, it's like, dang it. And it's hard because if we want to watch a movie, we'll have to look it up first to make sure. Or like anything except like pre-screening a movie is, gosh, we don't do that because that would take forever. We'd probably fall asleep because if we we could, the only time that we have to like do something like that would be after the kids go to bed. And then, it's like that after 10, 15 minutes. But then that's also the time we're trying to get work done. And so we just have to like 2 or 3 websites of like reading through some of the reviews and like seeing like if there's anything appropriate or language or things like that. And then most of the time we just revert back to movies from our childhood because,
You know what they're about.
yeah, the 80s and the 90s had like some of the best
That
children's movies ever.
the best movies. I would argue too some of the best music. That's really why I like classic rock. Nothing wrong with a lot of the music today, but it seemed like it had meaning. And of course, we also had MTV, so we have stories in our heads to go
Yeah.
along with it.
For sure. Well, the music video.
Yes.
And Brian, we've talked about this before because it's just like music told a story and it was like your whole album. It wasn't just trying to put out one song that everybody tried to download. It was consistent. Like the whole album was good from start to finish. And then you'd hear the hits and you'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so stinking good. Do you have a favorite band? I know it's hard to choose. Maybe it depends on the mood.
It does depend on the mood, and I don't know band, but artists from band. Prince is huge. I really like the Grateful Dead only because if you read Captain Trips, and it's a phenomenal book, you find out how all the musicians were working together in the 60s in Haight-Ashbury. And then you learn about musicians who can play so many instruments, and I think either play as many as you want or play one really, really well. And that's, of course, what Prince did. I always do every year. It's always the same. There's always going to be something about the Super Bowl. I'm always like the best, hands down. You all can argue all you want. It's always going to be Prince doing Purple Rain with Purple Rain because it was raining. He could have been electrocuted. He was wearing heels, and still he put on a phenomenal show.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I grew up in Minnesota, and the church that we went to was in downtown Minneapolis. And Prince got married at our church, and the church shut down that day. But my parents were music ministers at the church and everything like that. So we went to the church, and I actually saw Prince get out of his limo, and the entire block, because everything was shut down, right? But like we were part of the church, so we were able to go. And all I remember were just roses, literally lining the street. Like you did not walk, like Prince literally just and his bride walked on roses. They didn't walk on anything else. Like there was no concrete. And I didn't have the wherewithal at that moment to like pick up any of those roses because I could have picked them up and like pressed them and, probably sold those and lived out those the rest of my life. But like
That's
I
it.
did it, I saw Prince and I'm like, oh, cool. That's Prince. He's going to get married. All right, sweet. Good luck, dude.
Were they purple
it's just-
roses?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I know. But it was just so funny. And so he got married and our pastor did the wedding ceremony. It was just so funny that, so that's my Prince story, my one and only Prince story. But it's pretty epic though. I mean,
That is the most epic Prince story.
how many times did he get married? Was it?
I think he only got married twice.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say if it was once, that's even more epic.
But I think once was really young, and then once was like 90s, 2000s, somewhere around in there.
That's the one that I went to then. And then probably it was the 90s then that it happened. But yep. So there you go. Prince. Yeah, Prince Purple Rain, that Super Bowl performance. Super Bowl performances are, they used to be mashups. They used to be like fun. Not saying that they're not now. It's just different. They're just going a different direction with Super Bowl halftime shows. Why don't they try a comedian?
That I think I would actually watch, which I did watch this year. Not that I understood it because I don't speak Spanish very well, but It was so theatrical that I loved every minute of it because I'm a huge theater
Hmm.
person. And so I was like, oh, there is salsa and there are all these scenes that are like Havana, Cubanas, and Puerto Rico all mixed up in one.
Hmm.
It was phenomenal for me because I truly thought that maybe the cast of In the Heights was going to pop out and start doing something. So
Have you done theater in your past, or are you doing it now?
I have not.
Okay.
My kid is huge into theater.
Hmm.
I mean, I did like your basic high school drama class
Hmm.
stuff, but I went the radio route
Yeah.
and stayed that way.
Yeah. Which is a
And
form of drama.
it is.
Hmm.
And it's not that I'm opposed to doing it. It is such a time commitment
For sure.
to do that. I'm like, do I want to take time away from my kids? Do I
Hmm.
want to take time away from X thing? And so far, that time hasn't been there, but maybe in the future. But I love watching theater. We have done a ton of theater this year because my kid's a senior
Hmm.
and we are trying to fit all of our um, bucket listy shows in. So, like, we just did Tina 2 weeks ago at the Martin
Mm.
Center.
Okay.
We've seen Wicked this year.
Hmm.
We've seen Hamilton this year. We went up to see Leslie Odom Jr. reprise his role as Burr in Hamilton. So that was phenomenal. Stranger Things. We watched Stranger Things,
Wait, you went to the Stranger Things because I've seen
the
commercials
play.
for that. The play.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. What was that like?
First of all, they have a discount ticket program in New
Okay.
York when you get up there. So always download your Groupon and look and watch this stuff.
So it was in New York.
So it was in New York.
Okay.
It's actually their theater is in the same building where they filmed The View.
Oh.
And it is right next to the Richard Rodgers Theater, which houses Hamilton.
Okay.
And so we saw it. And my kid is a Stranger Things fanatic. And so he was like, hey, like, you need to see this to understand this last season. And I bought it hook, line, and sinker. So here we are. And it was phenomenal. Like, not only does it explain things, you see all the characters, the older characters when they are younger. And the cast that they chose was so spot on
Hmm.
to the characters on the show that it was just great.
Wow. I saw previews. I never thought. I'm like, very interesting. So wait, it's a son, right? You have a son, or do you have a daughter?
I have both,
Oh,
one of
okay.
each.
Oh, all right. How old? And one's a senior.
One's a senior and
Okay.
one is going to be 25.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the theater is pretty fun though. I just saw, what was it? I think it was this morning or yesterday. Is ETSU doing Carrie?
Oh, I don't know. They may be. I'll
I
have to
think they
look.
are. I think I just saw that they're doing Carrie, the musical, which is very.
I know. I get apprehensive about. I'm like, Carrie is a musical, and then I'll get there and I will probably love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just one iconic scene. How are they going to do that on stage?
I do not know, but if it's ETSU, I have been lucky to have a seat for well over 20 years to the things that ETSU does. And of course, the Martin Center is phenomenal. The Black Box, where they do a lot of their plays, is also just a wonderful place. And it's so configured that they can set it up any way they want. So it's always cool to go in there and see what they do.
Well, it's always fun to see different adaptations too of plays. Because or if you see a movie or if you read the book or something and you're like, oh my gosh, how are they going to make this particular scene or this part, part of this play? And it's always really interesting. I know that I went and saw, gosh, where was it? I went and saw Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
And this was, I was living in Florida at the time. And, I mean, obviously the story behind Sweeney Todd, he's revenge seeking, right? And so he ends up murdering all of his customers that he gives a shave to, right? And he slits their throat. And it's very it's very dark, very dark. But I was like, gosh, this is a play. How are they gonna? Because then they had the movie Johnny Depp and everything, and I was like, how are they gonna do this adaptation? Because it's originally a screenplay, so it was originally like theater. And what they did was they turned off all the lights. And they just had like a spotlight on a bucket. And then it was just a woman coming over and pouring fake blood into the bucket. And that was how they portrayed Sweeney Todd killing every single person. So it was very interesting because it was just like the lights went out because you know it was going to happen. And then this woman just walked over, took the bucket, poured the blood. Then it was like a moment of silence and then, a song or like whatever after he like, okay, but it's just very interesting to see. So even for that Stranger Things, it would be really weird to see how they do things or even Carrie, obviously, with the blood.
That is what, and Stranger Things used a lot of lighting, and they have an arch built.
Yeah.
And when it's going to take you toward the upside down, or the upside down is going to infiltrate through,
Mhm.
you can tell through the way that the lighting goes. So
Yeah.
I'm always fascinated by stuff like that. Or even like in Sweeney Todd, the lights being off and the sound of that swishing would have probably terrified me and excited me at the same time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
something bad is happening behind the scenes, but something really cool is gonna come up.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird. It was weird. It's kind of a weird story. It does have a redeeming ending though, but it's rather dark. I don't. That's just supposed to be. What is it? Stephen Sondheim. I think a lot of his stuff is
Pretty dark.
more on the darker side. Gosh, I'm just trying to think of all the other shows. That was interesting though. And then I in high school I got to go to Broadway a few times. Wait, Brian, did you ever go on those trips? No, you didn't. Yeah, I went and saw Rent,
Oh,
Phantom of the Opera. I want to say there was maybe a third one. Phantom of the Opera was my favorite though for the Broadway ones that I got to see, just because that's super iconic, and just to have the Phantom coming down and
and that
the lights.
chandelier.
Yep.
Ah,
It was really cool. The music's really fun. Like it's a really sad story, but it was just really cool to see that on Broadway.
but beautiful, and the lyrics, and just which
Yeah.
Weber does such a
Mhm.
great job with everything that he does. Phantom was the very first thing that I saw on Broadway, and I was over 40 before I ever took my first trip to New York.
Mhm.
Um, or went to Broadway. Everything that I had seen before that had all been brought to us. So lots of times the Barter Theater would bring their plays to us, or we would get to go there to see them. And it was a huge deal because you didn't get a lot of stuff in the arts
Mhm.
where I was from, because, once you hit past those 4 lanes and onto the 2 lane roads,
Mhm.
people didn't really travel through. So thankfully for them, I got a love of theater and all the beautiful things that we got to see.
Mhm.
And now all of the arts programs here are starting to go into that area. So there's like Symphony of the Mountains, which I work with a lot. They do shows in Tennessee, and then they turn around and do the shows in Virginia,
Mm.
so that they're offering both, and they try to do it at a pretty low cost.
Mhm.
But they've done some phenomenal things. Like last year, they brought in Don Felder from the Eagles,
Oh, okay.
and he sang with them. And then last month, they had Amethyst Kia, who totally is my celebrity, pseudo celebrity, whatever you would like to call it, crush. So she started in the bluegrass program at ETSU, and she is a folks roots artist.
Oh, cool.
And in the pandemic, she and 3 other artists did an album together called Songs of Our Native Daughters. And then she got a Grammy nomination for Black Myself. And she does the banjos, she can play the guitar,
Mhm.
she sometimes looks like Porter Wagner, and sometimes she looks like a rocker chick,
Mhm.
but her music is just so pure and beautiful. And it was cool to see, because I went there and I was doing my part of stuff, and I was going to interview the people. And she came off the stage, and I had the opportunity at Christmas to conduct the symphony for a song.
Oh,
I
cool.
was part of a fundraiser, and I won it. I beat Santa Claus. I just
Nice.
want that out there. I'm on the naughty list for the rest of my life. I beat Santa.
Yeah, you are.
And they let me conduct sleigh ride, and I had an absolute ball. So I kind of knew the exhilaration of being on that side. And she came down, and you expect, I mean, she's toured all over the world. She's toured with Brandy Carlisle. She's been to Japan with the ETSU Bluegrass. She's toured all over Europe. And she came down and she was like, I got to play my music with a symphony backing me.
That's cool.
And I'm like, it's so cool that you have like had this experience that you've never had before, and you're still fangirling after
Mhm.
all the success you've had.
Mhm. Yeah, that's cool. Do you have any experience conducting, or was it like what was this contest?
My experience was watching a YouTube video they sent me, and I took a pencil and I was in the studio, just playing Sleigh Ride and and I made special attention like to
Yep.
those claps because, there are 3 occasions in the song where they do the boards together, they do the clap, and I was like, as long as I get that, people will semi think that I knew what I was doing.
Mhm.
I don't know if they thought knew what I was doing, but I did have fun and they seemed to have fun, so that's all that matters, I guess.
Did you grow up singing or playing a musical instrument?
I played the clarinet in
Okay.
band, and my family would sing, and I would kind of sing a little bit with them, but no.
Okay. Well, I mean, clarinet, that counts. How long did you play it for? Did you like
Um,
it?
I played it for like 4 or 5 years, and then my senior year, our band did not have enough people in it, and this lady desperately wanted to do a show with Phantom of the Opera, of all things.
Yep.
And so she's like, "Just come back and fake it. All you have to do is grab your clarinet and just march." So I did that my senior year.
What do you mean, fake it?
Like, I didn't play, I just marched to the steps
Oh, okay. All right.
because there weren't enough people to make
all right.
the
Got it.
march the way
Yeah.
that she wanted it to go.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Sure, I can do that."
Did you like playing the clarinet?
I did. I liked playing the musical instrument. I
Mhm.
did not like the practice on the clarinet because, parents do what parents do, which is, okay, you've practiced enough. And I didn't see the clarinet as anything that was going to like project me to fame or anything like that. So I'm like, it's okay. But
I feel like that's one of the quintessential high school, middle school instruments that if you don't, I mean, just play the clarinet in the band.
that is it. They probably should have put me in percussion and given me drums. I probably would have been better at it.
I mean, that's Brian's department. What else did you play? Did you play you trumpet, right? Did you play the saxophone too? No, just the trumpet and the violin. You tried. Violin's so hard. Violin's one of those things like if you don't start when you're like 3,
You're just
forget
not
it.
going to get
You're
it.
never going to get it. It's too difficult. We have a violin, right? We should try and get our boys in on that. I don't know how we would do that. YouTube videos, maybe.
I would say.
I'm turning my head too far. Because I can't see you anymore. He's like all the way. You can probably see him better, but he used to be like up here so that I could be like, hey, and like talk to him. But now I'm like ratcheting my neck. Okay, that was his goal. Whatever. Whatever. I did musical instruments and singing. I did both in school. I started with the oboe, which is a very random instrument. And then I sang my junior and senior year. And then I played bass guitar too. So it was just, I didn't do that in band though. I just learned that on my own. So it's just kind of funny to see that the progression of instruments because oboe is like the most
random instrument there.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, flute, clarinet, saxophone, percussion. These are normal instruments. I don't know. 5th grade, that's what I chose.
Sometimes you just have to be different, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the theme of my life. Sometimes I have to be different. So you have Pal's sweet tea this morning, and when you came in,
Yes.
so when we first moved here, I remember seeing pictures of Pal's, and I was like, "What is this?" Because I was like trying to Google everything about, the Tri-Cities before we got here, and I kept seeing pictures of Pal's, and I'm like, "What is this blue building with a giant, like hot dog and a hamburger?" There's French fries too, right? On the
Yes.
outside. Is there a drink too?
There's
I
a
can't
shake,
remember. There's a shake.
yes.
Yeah, the whole menu.
That's it.
Except for cheddar rounds. But we were like, what is this place? And Brian's like, that place looks terrible. And I was like, no, we're going to try it. And so we did. When we first got here, we were like, what do we do when we get to this drive-through? Because it's not a normal building, right? It's that very small footprint. But we were just seeing cars just going, just shoo, 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 shoo. We're like, oh my gosh. So and then we were like, well, what do we do when we get to the window when we order? We're going to be those people. They're going to know that we're not from here. We're looking at the menu. It's not like it's a large menu, but we were just like, So we like panic ordered, got some food, came out super fast. But the one thing we noticed was everything was super clean. Like
Yes.
the people, and they had smiles. They were genuinely nice. All of the things that you normally don't experience, with faster food, if you will, right? I don't want that to sound terrible, but a lot of times you don't experience that. And so we were just like, wow, this is interesting. And then we tasted the food. And then, like, we have met so many people where Pals was their first job and they
Mhm.
have nothing to say but good things about working for Pals. And it's just really interesting, the organization. Like, what do you know about Pals? I'm sure you know all of it.
So Pal's was opened and invented, and the first store was in Kingsport, Tennessee, by a guy named Pal Barger, and
It's the one downtown, right?
it is. It's the
Yeah.
one
By the
downtown
post
near
office.
it's near Clinchfield Street. I'm not sure if that's the
Okay.
post office or not, but it was down there. And he sudden service, friendly sudden service.
Mhm.
That was his thing. So get them in, get them out, have it done by the time that they reach the other side of the pals. And when he started to construct other ones, because that one you do walk inside
Mhm.
and order your food,
Yep.
he was like, well, sudden service, people can go through with their cars. Uh, so he built it, and then he built a leadership academy, which people still go to, a business academy based on his business model. So
Well, that's cool.
extremely successful. And he built pals all over. Once he passed away, they've expanded a little bit
Oh, he did
beyond.
pass away?
He did pass away a few years ago,
Okay.
but left an absolutely amazing legacy. And then, of course, the pals itself, they run on a limited menu. That way, you can still get things your way and the way you want it, but there's not so many things that it convolutes them spending their time making so many special kind of orders
Mhm.
for everything.
Mhm.
And it's an amazing business model. But me, I adore my pals people
Mhm.
at Pals Campus at ETSU. That is the one, that is the number one pals in my heart. And I think it should be um, probably in everybody's. I have tasted the tea from every pals except for two.
Okay.
And
There's how many? 31?
I think there's 31.
Okay.
And I have a ranking system.
Mm.
But my theory is that there are so many people, there's like 13, 14,000 people on the college campus when it's in session. And so they go through the tea so quickly that it's always literally fresh.
Mhm.
And they are so friendly there. And they have no idea what I do for a living. So I talk about them on the radio all the time, and they have no clue, bless their hearts.
They have no idea that it's you coming through talking about him. Are you gonna tell
No.
him someday?
Maybe I freeze up. So they've asked me, two different employees there have asked me where I work.
Mhm.
And so then I answer
Mhm.
Kingsport because technically that is where I work.
Mhm.
And I don't mention the thing because I feel like the fun will be over. People have this weird, like, I'm the first to tell you, I'm not anybody. I'm a chick that lucked in to very cool jobs that she gets to do every day.
Mhm.
And that does not escape me.
Mhm.
I mean, I give thanks every day for the cool stuff that I get to do because, there are people that sit even at the station that make it work. They're in traffic, they're recording commercials, they're scheduling air stuff, they're going out and selling air shows. And they don't get to do the fun stuff that we get to do
Mhm.
because we're behind the mic or in front of the camera.
Mhm.
But somehow people get the perception that they think that we should be treated differently because of what we do for a living. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm a girl from the sticks who gets to do something fun every day. And so I don't want them to think that they have to
Mhm.
treat, because right now they treat me like I'm a superstar because I'm the 4T lady. I order 4Ts every single night.
Mhm.
And that fascinates them. And if I order, and occasionally I will order something for my youngest kid, and they're like, oh my gosh, she got food. She ordered food tonight.
Yeah.
This was so I'm like, I am happy being that kind of rock star right there with
Mhm.
them, where they're just happy to see me because I'm a friendly face.
Mhm.
Or polite, because I will be polite. You could dump hot soup on me if you were a server in this area, and I'm going to be polite because that will be the one time that somebody does know where I work.
Mhm.
And then the next thing you know, it'll be like, she was so awful.
Mhm.
I dumped soup on her and she had the nerve to be offended about it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's hard. Working in the service industry is not easy. I mean, I was a server back when I was in college. Did you ever work in the service industry like that?
I worked for my brother's pizza place when
Okay.
I was in high
There
school.
you go.
And working for him taught me many lessons, but people were nice to me because they knew me and it was a small town.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, I had a best friend who worked in the service
Mm-hmm.
industry, and the way that people treated him, and the way even that I can see some people treated when we're there,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, I know you just didn't say that. And my
Mm-hmm.
husband is always like, sit down,
Yeah.
do not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but somebody needs to tell them
Mhm.
that they deserve respect.
Mm-hmm.
Because I usually have one or two people that I've met and know that are kind of preferred servers or wherever, just about everywhere we go.
Yep. Do you guys frequent the same places all the time?
Mostly.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite spots that you go to?
I love going to the Outback specifically because of a married couple that works there. They like highlight the whole thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
My husband likes to go to Chili's, but I like to go to the restaurants that are not mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Pals is really mainstream for me, but there are so many great restaurants here that
Mhm.
you just don't get everywhere else.
Mhm.
The Blue Moose is sort of a chain as far
Mhm.
as chicken restaurants go, but it's still really good. And then you have things like Moto's here
Mhm.
that's been here forever, or Taste Buds, and that's Buds with a Z because
Mhm.
they opened another ice creamy thing and stole the name with an S.
Mm-hmm.
But Miss Lorraine, she throws down with her cooking. So she's catered a few events that I have done
Oh, cool.
as well. You can't, and it was my in-laws approved,
Mm-hmm.
which is a hard thing for them to do because they come from Georgia. They're used to, their collards being a certain way, their mac
Mm-hmm.
and cheese being a certain way, and Miss Lorraine's going to do it each and every time. So
Well, that's cool. And what restaurant is that?
it's called Taste Buds.
Oh, okay, with the Z, Taste
With a
Buds.
Z.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are a few. I think there's one or two ice cream parlors that are Taste Buds
They
up
are.
in Bristol, right?
They opened one in Bristol and then they opened one here in Johnson City. And
Okay.
honestly, I'm sure they're very nice people. I won't go to them just because of the name, because I'm like,
Yeah.
that's Miss Lorraine's.
Yeah. And then there's shoot, I just had a brain fart. Around that Taste Buds ice cream, Bristol. No, I don't remember. Well, maybe I'll remember it in a second because I was going to ask you something, but then my brain decided to not participate. Although I'm having tea because I'm trying to up my water intake today because I've already had a latte this morning. We do 2 a day, and they're triple shot lattes because we just love. So it ends up being more espresso than milk. But that's just how we roll. And clearly, I need to have a second one because I'm having brain farts. But I'm trying to help my water intake with this.
But you have
Just
small children,
I
so you
know.
need the extra caffeine. I do, but I drink my caffeine late at night, which people find insanely weird. I mean, tea does have caffeine, but if I'm having espresso,
Yeah.
iced coffee, usually it's an iced coffee with like 2 shots of espresso.
Does it affect you?
which- Not at all.
Yeah.
I could go straight home and go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think it affects us either. We did a shot of espresso, not last night. The night before it was like 7 o'clock, wasn't it? We were like, yes. Sometimes we just want that warm, hug. So we'll just do a little shot of espresso. And it just tastes so good. I just love the taste of it. I think that going back to service industry, I mean, a lot of people have never worked in the service industry, and so they don't know how to treat people that have to work in the service industry because it's not easy at all. We watched an interesting documentary on the guys from South Park
Yes.
bought a restaurant that was a very famous restaurant in Denver. Do you remember the name, Brian? I can't remember the name of it now. La Casita, something like that. And it was like you should watch this documentary because it was crazy. This restaurant is huge and it's like a maze, and they have like divers that dive into cliffs into water in the restaurant.
Oh,
And they
wow.
have like mazes, and they have like a little treasure area for like children to go through. And it's like it was this huge restaurant that I guess is a part of like Denver's history, and it closed. And so the guys from South Park bought it. But what they did was I think it's like a $30 is the minimum wage, and they don't do any tipping because they just include the tips so that they can have all of their people that work there have a better quality of life instead of just relying on tips for their income. Because usually, when you work at a restaurant, you're only making like $2-3 an hour. Or I don't know what it is now. It's like when I worked at a restaurant back when I was in college, that's what it was. It
I
was
think
like
it's
$2.
still like that
Is it
similar.
really
Yeah, still
2 or 3 dollars?
$2.75 to $3,
Yeah,
which is unheard of to me. And that is,
yeah,
I wish that we could get that here
yeah.
where there is just because most countries do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost an insult if you try to
Yeah.
leave a tip in Italy or in Greece
Mm-hmm.
or in England, and here it's just like I'm always afraid of under tipping. Like I do the
Mm-hmm.
15 and then the 20% and then I'm adding money on top of that and then I'm still like, oh, was it enough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
Because yeah, they have to take their time and I've taken up their table for like an hour
Mm-hmm.
and that was other people that they couldn't serve. And if there's anybody in the party that is needy and they have to do extra for or keep running back and forth, and I'm like, okay, I need to give them extra money too because look at how many times that they had to run back to that kitchen to get something.
Mm-hmm. For getting their steps in. What was the name of that website that you said before for that you check all the crazy stories for the criminals? What was it?
Oh, it's the smoking gun.
What was the craziest story that you've read and reported on so far
Oh my
from that?
goodness. There have been so many. I think the ones that shock me the most are assaults with food. It's like, first of all, there are people in this world that are food insecure,
Mm.
which bothers me in every way that there is. Like nobody should go hungry. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you're on the street or if you're a kid in school or you're and I did do a little stint as a director of a nonprofit for like about 4 years.
Okay.
And that was the thing that like hit me the most
Mhm.
is like babies and old people going hungry. It
Mhm.
just doesn't suit me. And so to use the food as a weapon bothers me in itself. But then I'm just like, seriously? If you wanted to cause harm, you're going to choose a chicken nugget
Yeah.
or the fights over food because it was made wrong or something. So
Mhm.
I find those stories absolutely outrageous, but I think some of the funniest are the ones where they get the wrong thing. And there have been two of these, both in Florida. Apparently, one didn't read the news where they get mad at an ex significant other, like a recently ex,
Mhm.
and they just decide they're going to go destroy their car and they destroy somebody else's. It's like, what? You don't know what their car looks like?
Yeah.
How long did you date them exactly?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, you have destroyed the property and they filmed it.
Mhm.
So not only are you dumb enough to destroy property of somebody else, like curse them, tell somebody they were a bad person,
Mhm.
go to a witch and have an actual curse put on them if you must, but don't destroy their property.
Yeah.
But if you're going to, just do 3 of the tires because then they won't pay for that 4th. And I could give you a couple of other things, but I won't, that are dangerous that you could do that's still legal, but
Yeah.
um, and I'm like, why didn't you just do something like that? It's
Mhm.
petty, but it doesn't cause extreme harm where
Mhm.
they have to have it taken to a station and serviced other than the tires.
Mhm.
These are like take baseball bats, do deep scratches, and then it's not even their car.
Mhm.
Uh, You dated them for how I could tell you my husband's car from 6 miles down the road coming toward me
Mhm.
or one of my kids, and you can't pick out your ex's car.
Mhm.
You destroyed somebody else's, and you're dumb enough to film it. Which I think is a huge problem these days.
Oh, for sure.
I am lucky that the days that I was laying in a field with my Boone's farm, there were no cameras or pictures or anything else.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely different times of growing up. Do you how was cell phones? How was that all introduced when you were growing up in your small town, or were you already out by the time?
Oh, I was already out.
Okay, you were here in JC.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
was a mom before I had my first
Oh,
cell
okay.
phone. I was working in radio and out in the field and calling in stories.
Mhm.
And it was a time where cell phones weren't that popular
Mhm.
necessarily, but you needed one for something like that because a payphone wasn't always
Mhm.
available. And I was at a standoff situation up right above Princeton on Suncrest, I think it is, Sundale. And there was a hostage situation, and I had to we waited, they finally got him into custody. I had to jump in my car, run to the Kroger, like, put all the coins in, call back to the station, and phone in the report.
Wow.
And I'm like, I probably need an easier way to do this.
Yeah.
And so they had gone to cell phones at the TV station. So I went and got a cell phone. And for probably the next 5 or 6 years, there was absolutely no service when I got halfway home.
hmm
And then you could get it in town, and you still can't get it some of the places there. There's just no cell service.
Yeah, I get that. Cell service. But I feel like we lose cell service all the time regularly with Verizon. We'll just be driving, even on like 11. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden we just switched to SOS. We don't have any service. And it's like, what the heck? But it's just funny. So I remember having to call collect.
Yes.
Like when I was in high school, if I was done with like a sport, and I'd have to call my parents, collect. And then instead of saying my name, I'd say, pick me up, I'm ready.
Yes.
And then they would, just so that they wouldn't get charged. And then they hang up the phone and they would then come pick me up. Either that or my friends. It was just really funny though, the ways to cheat the system before cell phones. I mean, there was cell phones, but nobody had them at that point because they were like the giant Zach Morris phones.
That's it. And then when now, like, 8-year-olds are walking around with phones that are newer than mine, and I'm just like, can you teach me how to operate some of this stuff? Because I have now hit that phase of life where I work all this $1 million technology, and then I can't get my phone to do something simple. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Ask them how it works. How do you think technology's like all of this has changed in terms of your work? Has it added? Is it made it worse? Is it difficult?
The newer technology has made it easier, but I came up in a time where everything was in a big changeover. So I did an internship at a station that did not have as much technology. So what they did when I did the interview was they kind of bragged that they ran on a computer system. I thought, oh, that is the coolest. I got there and it was one computer and it ran these 3 huge reel towers. And so it would play one of the reels and stop, and then it would put the other one in motion and it would stop. So you still had to put the music on the reels, which meant you had to splice it. And that is the most intricate thing. Like, you could see why you would have to love radio back in the day in order to do it, because that is a nightmare kind of thing to do. It spliced just the right point, and then you had to put the tape on and then put the new version of the reel on. And if the tape got stuck in the thing, then your whole computer went wacky. And we went from that to using what were basically 8 tracks, but they called them carts, to mini discs and what was called Scott Systems, which was a computer that housed all your music and played it, to now we still have those kind of systems, but we're using AI. And I have streamlined Air Newsroom and my show prep and everything using it, because I am not scared of it. One, I mean, eventually it might take over, but I'm nice and polite to it. Say please and thank you, just in case. But it can streamline workflow like nobody's business and help cut a lot of time out of your day that you just don't really have to spend on those tasks. I would love to make cute pictures myself every day for the 7 o'clock post that comes on the station and on my CC Writer page. For the show, but I don't have the kind of time to go into Canva and create all that.
Yeah.
So being able to tell a bot and have it create it for me that's already trained and it knows what CC would say and how she would say it is perfect.
So when you do your music, do you choose all the music that you're going to do for the night, for the week? How does it work for you for that?
I don't choose it at all. So it goes into categories.
Okay.
So you do music testing like every 2 to 4 years, and you see what people like, what really hits with people, what's recognizable, and sometimes it's not your favorite. I know for our sister station TFM, we just did one, and the music director there was hating the fact that Tiffany has come back with I Think We're Alone Now, which I call it the Stranger Things effect, because this old music is now popular again because people are watching shows that have this music in it. And it is absolutely perfect for me. I'm getting
That's a great song, by the way.
It is. I liked it. I'm
Yeah.
getting tons of younger listeners, but he was
Mhm.
like, "How is a song that old?" And I'm like, "The Stranger Things effect." And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I said, "That's why you had Running Up That Hill Tuswell last year, and you added it to the rotation. But you have different categories for each song, and so you put 10 to 12 songs in each category, and then it rotates out through the week. So you play one from like a very popular section, and then you'll play like maybe one from the 80s and another one that was a lesser known cut, but of a really popular band. And it randomly schedules your music for you so that you don't have to do it. Now, we do have a Saturday Night Request show on our sister station, and he picks
Mhm.
all of his music, which is phenomenal.
Hmm. So wait, Saturday nights?
Saturday nights.
Okay. What's the call sign for that one again?
It's on WTFM. That's
Okay.
98.5.
Okay.
And it is the Saturday night special with Gary Stevens. He takes calls, he takes requests. It's very old school.
Hmm.
It is like a party in your living room every Saturday.
Well, that's cool. I remember calling into the radio station back in the day. Once again, I just having all kinds of nostalgic moments. Brian, did you ever do that? What song did you request? You don't remember? Mm, typical. It's all right. I would call and request, but Brian didn't listen to. I listened to all the grunge music in the '90s, so like calling and requesting, whether that's like Smashing Pumpkins or all the goodies, Alice in Chains, which now Brian's like he's had this major resurgence for some of the '90s rock, which is kind of like or alternative grunge, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Rock music is dead, I think, these days, but that's just my opinion.
See, they say that, but then there are some really good ones. Lizzie Hale with Hellstorm, like they're great. And I listen, but I have to admit, I don't listen to Air Sister Station very much. I keep it to TFM or to Classic, and I
Yeah.
rarely listen to the Hog. But I learn about new music all the time because my kid likes it, and
Yeah.
the DJ from there that does afternoons, he's always like, "You got to hear this. This is great. This is new. This is whatever." But I was a classic rock DJ at the other
Hmm.
station that I was at, so it kind of had my heart. But I used to get people all the time that would call there because I did weekend overnights,
Hmm.
and they would be like, "Play," especially Leonard Skinner because it's huge around here, being Southern
Hmm.
rock.
Hmm.
But it was, can my mom's aunt's dog's cousin's husband passed away, so
Yeah.
could you please play Freebird? And
Yeah.
I would be like, "Sure." You could have just asked. There was no
Yep.
excuse necessary, but
Yep.
sure.
Freebird. Thanks. That's all they could have said.
That's it.
That's one of those songs that people do they still shout that out at live shows? I wonder.
Oh,
Remember? It's
yes.
like Freebird when people are taking requests. It's
They
like one of those
do.
things you have to say, even as a joke. You just have to shout it out.
They do and still get the cigarette lighters, or now, people tend to use their phones.
Phones.
No, rednecks will always have a cigarette lighter.
Mhm.
Even if you don't smoke, you've got like a pocket knife, a cigarette lighter.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's a screwdriver somewhere in your car, and there's always a flashlight.
Yeah, essentials for living,
Essentials.
just in case. You never know when you're going to need any of those things. I mean, fire is incredibly handy, just not for smoking. It's for a lot of different things.
This is true because I used to keep a lighter. My kid used to do roller derby. And
Mm.
so when she did it, she would go skating on the weekends to
Mhm.
practice, to be with her friends, whatever.
Yeah.
I would be there, and they would be hosting birthday parties all day. And that was the one thing that people forgot. So I would always have a lighter in my car, and I would be like, "Okay, here, here's the lighter for the birthday candles."
Do you think either of your kids are going to follow in your footsteps in any of the broadcasting or any of it?
The boy child,
Okay.
he is, I call him an idiot savant. This
Mhm.
child can pull up anything about reality television out of his brain in some sort of file drawer. Like he knows the season, the episode. He is huge into not just reality television, but he's really into it and how they do the cuts
Mhm.
each week. And he tries to see if he knows who's going to go based on the edit that they gave them and the way that they frame the shots.
Yeah.
And so he is very into that right now. And he's a natural performer because he's been
Cool.
on the stage since he was 5. So he, I think, will go toward that way. I'm thinking casting or producing or something like that. I don't know that he necessarily wants to be front and center on the stage.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty like cool kid that can take the rejection. I overdo everything and everything has to be perfect. And that's
Okay.
kind of how I got through. And it took me a long time to take constructive criticism because I was just like, oh my gosh, they hate me. Like they said I did X thing wrong. Him, you could be like, no, it didn't cast you. Okay.
Yeah. Which is good. You got to let it roll off your back.
That is what, and I'm glad that he has got it at 18. It's something that it took me years and years to figure out. But I also figured out if you're not getting criticism, you don't get better. If nobody tells you what you're doing wrong or how you can improve, you can't because you think you're doing it great.
Yeah. How do you think that you translate that to your children? How is that a skill that you develop for them?
I was never and never will be your typical mom. I was very direct with my kids,
Mhm.
and I gave their teachers a warning every year of what I did for a living, and that the kids may come home because if there was a drug bust that night, we talked about it at the dinner table. You know, what did you do? I covered a murder, I covered a drug bust, I covered this.
Mhm.
And they would ask questions.
Yeah.
And so I didn't ever hide anything, but I also had to go to their teachers and be like, hey, if they start talking about really strange things, please know this is what I do for a living.
Mhm.
And this is our dinner table talk, and you can certainly quiet them down, but in not coddling them in that way and letting them get some exposure to the real world because based on uh based on the fact that they're part of a multiracial family
Mhm.
and we're in East Tennessee and I knew that they had to develop some thick skins growing up or everything was going to get to them. And I knew that I was going to be that severely overprotective parent that didn't let, and I thought, I can't do that to them
Mhm.
because then they will never grow up or out.
Mhm.
So you're supposed to give them roots and wings.
Mhm.
And if I rooted them too deep, they were never going to sprout the wings.
Hmm. That's cool. Just digesting that. Because parents of 4 and a 5-year-old, we're constantly going through that battle of, if they made something and they are showing it to us, like that's awesome, that's cool. How are you going to make that better? Or like it's hard to teach those skills to little ones about persevering and not giving up. And even though if it doesn't look as good, try again and keep trying. Cause I feel like there's too many messages these days where it's defeated or it's like, just whatever, it's okay, and we want to raise our boys to be resilient and raise them to be strong and raise them to go ahead. If someone's like, oh, that wasn't your best, to be like, all right, well, I'll try it again tomorrow and see if I'm better at it, but it's really hard to do that. And so I commend you on that. And that's why I'm asking, like, how the heck did you do that? Because like we try and be honest with them too, but then we also try and take their age into account because at the end of the day, they are only 4 and 5. And so we don't want to damage them either, too, by being like too brutally honest or like too whatever, because we don't want them to be like, oh, okay, because we want to encourage them. So it's a really interesting fine line as parents that you have to walk with your children, because too, as moms, we want to rescue them all the time, and sometimes we have to let them fail so that they can rescue themselves. But
That is the hard part. Like, so my kid made the decision last week that he was going to go to Chattanooga for college, and it devastated the mom heart in me.
mm-hmm,
But his path, he wants to go to UT.
mm-hmm,
There is a program that if he goes to Chattanooga for a year, he will be guaranteed entry to UT. Like it's solid logic.
mm-hmm,
And my heart was screaming, pull him back, make him stay. And then I thought, that's always what I go back to, roots and
mm-hmm,
wings. Because that's kind of like the little reminder to myself, hey, you have been raising this person for them to go out there and live their life and do all of the great things that they wanted to do,
mm-hmm.
things that you never got the opportunity to, or, things you never wanted to, but it means something to them. So you've got to let them do it on their own. And so what I went with was, that's fantastic. Just know if you run into any problems or anything like that, like we can navigate them together. Don't be afraid to call and ask
Yeah.
about, exactly how to do the laundry, which I've already taught my son that he knows, and he knows how to cook some dishes. I
Yeah.
am definitely not going to pawn him off into the world for him to find some young lady or some young man, and it be their problem to take care of him because he was, mommied or daddied a little too hard.
So Chattanooga's not that far though. It's like what, 4 hours?
It is.
Okay.
I had think I had assigned myself that 2 hours to Knoxville.
Mhm.
So that one was a shock. But then you can't argue with the logic. He also made a decision this year that, and I didn't agree with it. He's done baseball for like the last 3 years, and
Mhm.
he's like, I'm not going to do it my senior year. And I said, why? Like, you deserve that senior recognition that everybody gets to go do that hokey little thing where you go down with your parents. And he said, we will most likely be at state because we've went every year. I have been to Murfreesboro 3 times already. What I have never done is have a senior week, and I will miss that senior week
Hmm.
if I continue with baseball. So it's better that I go and support the people that are playing, my friends that I have played with, and experience this that I want to experience. And I was like, logic.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty profound at 18.
My kid is, I have what I call sweet and spicy. So he is a little more toned down, chill, and he really reflects and thinks things through, even though he acts like an 80s sitcom kid. So you would never know it. Like he has this surface level persona.
What 80s sitcom kid?
I always say that I think he is like Mike Seaver.
Okay.
He is just
Wait,
cheeky
who was Mike
enough.
Seaver? Was
So
that
he was on Growing
Pains?
Pains.
Okay.
Yeah, just cheeky enough and cute enough that like he can wrap the arm around and get what
Yeah.
he wants,
Yeah.
but thoughtful enough that he has passion and follow it. 'Cause, Mike Seaver wanted to be an actor, and everybody always like on the show kind of turned it down or whatever. And he, in the end, studies and goes back to what he loves, and
Mhm.
he makes it through. And so I always take Mike Seaver. And then with my daughter, it was highly suggested when I was pregnant with her that she needed to become a strong woman
Mhm.
to take what the world was going to give. And I always say I got espresso level strong on that one. And so I worry about the people around her. I don't worry about her at all.
Mhm.
She will handle business and then some.
What 80s character would she be?
Oh my goodness. I also think that she would probably be in the Seavers. I think she would be Carol Seaver because she was always decisive, and she knew, and she was gonna fix the problem, and it was gonna um but I don't know that they have ever made anybody like her.
Mm.
Ever.
Was it who was it Kirk Cameron that played?
Yes. Mike
Okay.
Seaver.
That's right. I don't know if did you watch Growing Pains that much? I didn't watch Growing Pains very much. I'm trying to think of what the 80s sitcoms, School Ties. Wait, no, not School Ties. That's a movie. What was the one? Family Ties. Family Ties.
Family
Michael J.
Ties.
Fox, right?
Yes.
That was a good one. Michael J. Fox. If I was an 80s sitcom, I mean, I don't know who I'd be. Who would you be? I'll think while you're
Ooh, that is a good one. For sitcoms, I would probably be Jennifer Keaton because she was like the young one. The one was really pretty but dumb, and the other one was really good and political and the antithesis of what his parents wanted. And she was smart enough to write every line. Like she was really smart, but she hid it. She was really talented, but she didn't put it out there. uh, that is kind of, and she was a very humble.
Mhm.
And I always try to keep grounded because, I love what I do, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form under the illusion that I do it the best.
Mhm.
If I retire tomorrow, there's going to be somebody that takes my place, and they may even be better. And I don't do it alone. And a lot of people, when you say, "Oh, you did a great job," or "That was a great project," or I'm like, "Well, you need to thank XYZ person
Mhm.
because they helped put in hours too, and they didn't." Because if you forget that, or as my great granny called it, be it above your raisin, then it doesn't work out.
Mhm.
I did try to do that once. I had the Midwestern accent. I was flawlessly speaking like I wasn't a hick from Appalachia. And I went back home, and my great grandmother said, "Well, do you think you're above your raisin? Is that why you got rid of your accent?" It broke my heart. And I was like, never again. If you can't take me at Appalachian hick, then you don't deserve me.
Did you completely stop talking with your accent? And did you adopt, or just when you were behind the camera or in front of the camera, I
Just
should
when
say?
I was behind the camera, it was
Okay.
like a light switch that I turned on and off.
Mm.
But it got to the point where certain things like the word pen or oil would spill over.
Because how do you say oil?
Oil.
There it
And it's a
is.
pen.
Yep. Yep. And what's the Theater?
Oh, it's the theater.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good one. But I honestly don't think that your accent's very strong. I mean, I can tell that you're from here, but I don't think you have like the strongest accent I've ever heard. But I mean,
And it's not. I do
yeah.
play on it a little bit. When I do have like a TikTok channel where I say all the things that I give commentary on the
Mm-hmm.
news that I can't say on the air. And I get a little more Southern with it,
Mm-hmm.
with the sayings and the way I speak, and I slow it down just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sad because there is, and I can't think of her name. It's Mama Todd. There's
Okay.
so much controversy surrounding this woman, but it was like, well, when she started this, she didn't. And I thought, okay, let her, like, you all pay attention when she talks a little slower and she says stuff a little countryer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why do that? But we don't have we have the closest to the Old English dialect, this section of Appalachia. So we don't have what I call pretty Southern accents. You know, people from Georgia, they've got that
Mm-hmm.
pretty Southern, and then you have the Tidewater Southern, and you can't hardly understand anything they're saying. That's the Wad Buttons of the world,
Mm-hmm.
where the R's are a little, R's is just kind of slangy.
Mm-hmm.
And so but I'm proud of it because I came from here and good, hardworking people. So why not show the world what we're about?
Yeah. Now, can you explain what a holler is?
I
Because
can.
I don't think a lot of people know what a holler is. And Brian, had you heard of one before we moved here? Oh, you had heard of hollers? Okay. So explain
So
what a holler is.
anyone else would call it a hollow, like the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
But it is basically a roadway, that it doesn't have to go straight up a mountain, but it cannot be paved. It must be gravel or dirt.
Okay.
And it is a path to get where you're going, an unofficial roadway, so to speak. And most people live up in the hollers. My granny lives in the head of the holler, which is at the very end, where there is no more roadway and no place to go unless you get a couple of dozers and create a new one.
So, but for hollers, is it generally like family members that all live like close to each other, or it doesn't matter? That's literally just the street and somebody lives, people live off the holler.
It's just the roadway, so there can
Okay.
be non-related people living together, but most of them do. And that's just from the fact that people had larger tracts of land, and then with every generation, they would kind of eke out a portion of
Mm-hmm.
that land to the family members to stay quite close together.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere around 70-ish, 60, 70 years ago, because I know that's how my father would have been, they started having to leave the area.
Mm-hmm.
And so families got split. Everybody went to the north. So
Mhm.
they went to Northern Virginia, to try to work and send back money and things because, again, coal was all you
Mhm.
had back home. And it became a little less than, or people would sell their family place and move off. And so somebody else moved in there. And so then it started out as a family thing. It kind of became whoever lives there.
Mm-hmm. So you said before that you're really trying to, especially with Appalachian Vibes Media, right? You're trying to highlight the area and maybe talk about any misconceptions or things like that. So is there anything that you want to talk about in terms of our region that you want to squash right now for people that are listening, or maybe some of the hot topics that you want to talk about for your Appalachian Vibes that really gets you going?
Some of the hot topics, we have truly here some of the best talent and podcasters and musicians that you will ever see. And I think they deserve a place to be highlighted where somebody can find them easily,
Mm-hmm.
not just hope that it comes on your For You page
Mm-hmm.
on a TikTok or down your reels. The largest misconception, of course, is that we're extremely naive. And, this place in general, Johnson City, is host to one of the largest rural medical training facilities in the world. But you don't hear about that. And
Mhm.
Eastman Chemical Company is one of the largest companies in the world. But you
Mhm.
don't hear about those things. You hear about uh, poverty. And yes, we have it, but so does Michigan and Minnesota
Mhm.
and Hawaii and all of these different places. It's just people manage to come in and take very cool pictures of us in a certain time in life during the Depression where it made a good story.
Mhm.
And we're probably actually one of the most self-sustainable regions in the world. There are a lot of people now that are struggling and they're food insecure.
Mhm.
A lot of the people here would have been food insecure, but they're not because they know how to grow gardens and they know how to can food
Mhm.
and they know how to do it safely and keep it for a year or two so that they have that emergency to fall back on. And we don't get enough credit for like kind of those self sustaining older ways. We are also the people that keep tradition alive. I
Mhm.
think about Las Vegas. The one thing about Las Vegas is it has no history.
Mhm.
You go on the strip and everything is new because they'll knock it down and turn it. And there's
Mhm.
something like one, they call it a graveyard there that has old signs and different things. We have our traditional things, even our directions.
Mhm.
People will try to give me road names. I'm like, mm-mm. Tell me where something used to
Yeah.
be. Tell me
Yeah.
where, even the directions that you sent me, you were like, and go up and buy the garage. And I was like,
Yep.
yes, I understand this. This is not like a road name.
Yeah. That's funny. So you don't like road names?
We didn't have road names.
Yeah.
We had a front street, a back street, and then you had something that you called. So, we would have something like a Big Ridge or Rose Ridge
Mhm.
or something like that. But they didn't actually have street names for everywhere until after my daughter was born.
Hmm.
Like well after. And then all of a sudden they were like, well, we're getting a 911 system. So everybody needs to name their road so that we
Mhm.
know where to send 911 if there's an emergency.
Mhm.
So it was always the old this or the old that. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, there was a lot of the old, which is why I do the other part because businesses would come in and it just wasn't sustaining them.
Mhm.
And they didn't know how to do things. And not everybody can come to a training in Johnson City. That's 2 hours for them to learn how
Mhm.
to do something. So I'm always happy to take it back home and help people too.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the people that are moving here constantly and kind of coming here from a lot of other states trying to, you know, re evaluate what their lives should be or, just fleeing from where they were from? Do you like people coming here? Do you not?
I welcome it as long as
Mm.
you're not pushing your agendas on me.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine for you to move here for political reasons or for economic reasons or for whatever reason that you want. I'm going to
Mhm.
welcome you in. Technically, I'm a transplant too. Just don't be pushing your agenda onto me
Mhm.
because we are extremely different people. I know one of the things that I ran into with a lot of people that were relocating from New York is that they very much dislike unions. And up there, they have a lot of unions. And so much so that a broadcaster there cannot take off their own microphone. A union member has to do it.
Interesting.
Yes, it
Why?
is. But because it's written into their
Because it's just a
contracts.
rule?
Well, it's their job. So A, you're not doing their job. Two, it's their equipment. It's
Mm.
written into the rules and it's just how they do things. We, however, had the UMWA, which was the United Mine Workers Union. That particular union was the difference between whether our mammals and papaws lived or died.
Mhm.
It was built from a very, very bloody battle in both Matewan, West Virginia and in Harlan, Kentucky, in order to actually get a union in here. And it was for the safety. Before that, their only safety feature was to put a canary in the coal mine.
Mm.
And if the canary died, then you
Mhm.
knew there was noxious gas and maybe you should get out.
Mhm.
And it still didn't save a lot of people. I went to school with 4 different people from high school. They all lost their fathers in in 2 separate mine explosions that happened throughout the years. So for us, the UMWA wasn't just economic safety and healthcare safety, which it was. It helped negotiate those things wonderfully, but it was who lived or died. It was between lowering those safety standards so that they made it out of that hole alive. And I don't know if you know anything about coal mines, but you go about a mile underground. You cannot, even I can't stand up, and I'm very short
Hmm.
in the coal mine. And so those people are on their bellies or they're crawling or they're hunched over. Um, and it also, that particular trade and job is what's created a lot of havoc in our area because those men would get hurt, but they still have to keep working because
Hmm.
it's the only way to make a sustainable living for their family,
Hmm.
which is why we needed that union protection so much that they needed to get back to work. So there was this little miracle drug that was marketed several years ago, and it has swept entire communities in this region. And those were opioids.
Hmm.
And Um, it's created havoc, but what it was supposed to do was to keep those people feeling good so they could still shovel their coal and
Hmm.
create air energy. And so not only did it make that medical mess and do whatever, but when the unions went away, then you didn't have those protections
Hmm.
anymore. And so now people literally have to work. They don't have the protection of the UMWA. And so for me to hear somebody bashing the union, it just makes me, and I'm like, okay, you're entitled to your opinion about the unions there, but you need to know about what unions here did for us.
Hmm. Are the coal mines still an active thing? Are there still a lot of like? What are the practices these days?
The coal mines are still operational.
Okay.
They're still very operational.
Yeah.
They will mine until they get every last piece of fossil fuel that they can from it. Coal is used in about every product that exists. We
Hmm.
just don't know it.
Hmm.
And people now though work without the union coverage, so they work.
Is it still the same working conditions? Are they still crawling on their bellies in its small areas?
Oh
The exact
yes.
same? Okay.
Still, I mean, some of the lucky ones, I guess you could say, are strip miners, which means they take the side of a mountain off and strip all the coal from the seams above ground rather than underground. But
Hmm.
underground mining generally pays a little more. It also wears you out. Either kind of mining is likely going to give you a disease called black lung,
Hmm.
which means that you will get lung cancer, COPD,
Hmm.
and you will literally die struggling for breath. And these men who go in there know this.
Hmm.
My grandfather sacrificed his life so that I could get an education and be something that I wanted to be.
Hmm.
He knew crawling in that coal mine was going to kill him.
Hmm.
He kept my dad out of the coal mine. My dad was a truck driver instead
Hmm.
because he knew what he was going to face.
Hmm.
So
Wow. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother.
Okay.
Older and knows he's older, and I follow religion. Like I still, if he called me right now and said, you need to get up, walk out the door and do something for me, I would be like, okay. I would be like, work, okay, come in right now. Got to do this for my brother. But he's a really good guy.
And where does he live?
He lives in Georgia.
Oh, okay. How often do you see him?
I see him usually once or twice a week because he owns some businesses up here. So he
Oh,
travels
okay.
up here.
Oh, nice. Well, that's cool. So, what does he own?
He owns car washes.
Oh, some of the touchless ones or some of the.
We have like 3 of the touch lists, but they're all mixed in with the self-service car washes.
Oh, that's right. We knew that, didn't we, Brian? Yeah. Brian's like, I want to own one. Brian's talked about it.
They're very good if you know how to do this stuff. Like
Yeah.
I could not do it because I don't know how to change the hoses and I can't be crawling up on the ladders and stuff, but it's actually pretty cool. He had like 2 choices. It was or 3. It was that a storage facility or a laundromat, and I was
Mhm.
going for laundromat. I don't know why, but
You just felt like the laundromat was a safer choice.
I guess I figure if when times get tough,
Mhm.
people may not wash their car or they'll try to wash it at home. What they won't skimp on is being able to do laundry.
Yeah, for sure. Because they can't go to a job interview or go to something else if they have dirty clothes, right?
That was my thought.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
we are one of our car washes is next to campus, so we have a never ending stream then of clientele from there. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. So then you see him a few times a year, and he's down in Georgia. Does he have any kids too?
He does. He have twos. We like come in twos.
Hmm.
My aunt didn't have any children, but it was my mom and my aunt, and my mom had two children, and we each have two children, boy and girl each.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Do all the nephews, nieces, and nephews get along? Cousins?
they do. One is my nephew is very much older. He was like 12, I think, when my oldest was born.
Oh,
So
okay. All right. A little bit older.
he is.
That's right, because it's your older brother.
Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
like 5 years older, and he
Okay.
started very young. And I didn't have my first till I was like 24, 23, 24.
Oh, that's still pretty young.
It is. I wouldn't recommend it now, but it was not like being the 19-year-old that he and his wife were when they
Yeah.
had their first. So I
I
couldn't have
mean,
imagined that.
I was 39 when I had our first, and then 40 for our second. So
See, those are like good ages
yeah,
though, because then you kind of know yourself and what you're doing,
yeah.
and maybe you don't feel like you are figuring it all out, or
I mean, we're still
sometimes
trying to figure it out, but that's just like you're n- you're never ready to be a parent, and so I always laugh when somebody is like, "Oh, it's just not time," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, number one, it's not really up to you. Like, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, right?"
that's it.
And you just have to roll with it because you're never going to be ready. If you sit there and talk about, "Oh, I need this, or I want this accomplished, or I want this," it's like, dude, just go for it. Just have kids, have some fun, try and figure it out.
Just the experience alone is
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. It's crazy. We had my brother keeps saying that he wants us to have both of our boys sit here and have just them talking
That would be
to each
great.
other. It would be pretty funny. And we have a couple pictures of them like as we've been setting up the room and the studio has changed a little bit. And then we have pictures of them, but we don't like their picture on the internet. We don't have them anywhere. And so we'd have to have that one be an audio only, right? Because then they'd otherwise they'd be on the internet, and then we would.
Yeah, or do the perpetual dot face thing that is on there. But I do that, and I respect. My oldest works in something where she doesn't want her face out there. She doesn't want like I respect it. My youngest is like put me on your CC Writer page, put me on your page, put me on your TikTok. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's fine once you get to a certain point. But we're just
Yeah,
trying to. I don't know. We're
protect.
just trying to protect them. I mean they're little dudes.
And that is very smart these days, where there are such powerful tools that could manipulate things and
Hmm.
do stuff. Like I think if my kids were younger, I would choose the same thing.
Yeah, I've even heard there's a trend for parents to go back to DVD and VHS right now, just because they can get away from, all the ads that happen for all your streaming services and then just all the things. And it's just more simple how things used to be when we were growing up. Just watching that movie, popping it in, fast forwarding, or like, going to the menu, all that. So there's like a little bit of a resurgence in parents that are, Gen X and millennials that are like, all right, we're going to take things back to how things were for us in the 80s and the 90s. And it's interesting because, I mean, streaming is great. I remember like we had no commercials. And I don't know how we got back to commercials, but all of a sudden we're back there again. It's very weird. We started, we ended it, and then I don't
It
get
was
it.
the hook to get you to subscribe. No commercials.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with things like Spotify
Yeah.
and oh, no commercials, but now you're getting commercials.
Yeah.
So, but now the difference is with terrestrial radio, we're still not charging. We do the
Mhm.
commercials to pay the bills. You have just paid $18 a month for the streaming service and you still have to listen to the commercials.
Yeah.
So, like, come back to us.
How's your feeling about Spotify and Pandora?
I don't mind it.
Okay.
And like XM, I got it for free in my car for a year. I loved the Broadway channel, but I am a loyal because this is what pays my bills. So I'm
Yeah,
loyal
for
with
sure.
terrestrial radio. But again, in Helene, I think I really, truly, for the first time in my life, figured out the value of it, like
Mhm.
what it is really for, and people in crisis, and you're reaching them, and you are the only voice that's
Mhm.
reaching them
Yeah.
to tell them things. And I thought, this is why we truly do this.
Mhm.
we tell all the stories during news, but we're prepared that if this happens, we're going to be on the air and we're going to be telling you where can you get to get rescued, where can you get to get food, where is the drop? Because of course during Helene
Mhm.
and in the North Carolina mountains, a lot of stuff was being dropped down by drones.
Mhm.
But they needed to know where to go to
Mhm.
get the medication or the food or the whatever that they were dropping down. So it gave me a very new perspective
Mhm.
on what I do and the importance of it. Because, sometimes you think radio is not really all that important, or you play music for a living, or you just tell what's happening in the region. And then you're like, well, but I'm this. And I've also kind of figured out too that and I do drive. I am, years ago, someone did it, but in the last 30 years, I am the only female to ever do afternoon drive.
What do you mean? What's that mean?
It means it's always gone to some white dude somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Men have predominantly been afternoon drive. They were
Well,
the
what is
draw.
afternoon drive?
So afternoon drive is from 3 to 7. So
Okay.
radio has two major shifts. You have your
Okay.
morning show from 6 to 10, and then
Mhm.
you have your afternoon drive from 3 to 7 when people are going home from work.
Okay.
And that has always gone to men. I am the only female in over 30 years to do it. And what I have realized is I am also their friend. I am their faceless friend. I
Mhm.
mean, you can go online and see what I look like, but I'm your company home. I'm your
Mhm.
person in the passenger seat that's telling you something outrageous that happened. But there are so many people that are here alone, maybe for college,
Mhm.
or, they're a divorced man or woman and they live alone, and my voice is what they hear.
Mhm.
And so I want it to be friendly and I want it to be impactful. And I want them to know that they have a friend. There is somebody that, even if it's just from 3 to 7 every day,
Mhm.
or that if you're really lonely or you're, God forbid, thinking about some kind of harm and you just need somebody to talk to, that you can just go on over to that social media page and be like, I heard you today, CC, and I'm feeling a little whatever, because I will certainly connect no matter what.
Mhm.
Sometimes it may take me like 5 minutes to send the text or the message back, but I will
Mhm.
definitely be right there to do it.
Mhm. How big is the team at the station?
I look upstairs yesterday, I counted. We are exactly even upstairs. We have 10 females, 10 males.
Okay.
And those include our sales, our traffic division, all of our people. And then there are probably about 5 more men that do sports, and we have 3 women in accounting downstairs. So we are pretty matched evenly, which I think is phenomenal.
Mhm.
And we are one of the few stations that is matched evenly on our airwaves too.
Hmm.
So, if we count Delilah and she's syndicated, she puts us over the top for
Mhm.
TFM for females.
Yeah.
But there's a male female in the morning,
Mhm.
there's a female in the afternoon, and then a male for drive time. And for Air Station, it's just the legendary Steve Mann in the morning, and then me, a CC Rider, in the afternoons. And the Rock Station has 2 guys.
Mhm.
And so we stay pretty evenly matched, and I think that's phenomenal, because a lot of times here it's always been male dominated,
Mhm.
except for the legendary Jerry George. I always flippantly in fun say that I'm the princess of rock. That's because my radio mother was called the princess of rock. She was the
Mhm.
person that broke the glass ceiling for females in this area. And then came the phenomenal Jerry George, who works for our competitor WQT. She is the queen of rock. We do not take that from her in any
Mhm.
way, shape, or form. So she's the queen, I'm the princess. And then we have a goddess in Misty Reed. So I like to elevate the women that are on the air, because there have
Mhm.
been so few of us throughout the years that I have a deep appreciation for what we get to do now.
Then do you already see the next wave of women that are coming in or showing interest or anything?
No, and that is the saddest part, because it is such an important medium.
Mhm.
And I think everybody is so worried about social media these days, and what I'd like to call insta fame.
Mhm.
But radio, you have to be, there are people in radio and radio people.
Mhm.
And to really stick with it, you have to be a radio person. You have to have a love of the music
Mhm.
and a love of the way things are going, a creative streak.
Mhm.
But I wish that there were more females that put forth, because there are opportunities out there if
Mhm.
they just will come and look for it or contact. Um, all you have to do is like make the first phone call.
Mhm.
I was that scared person. Every opportunity that I had, literally got handed to me. Somebody asked me to do it because I was somewhere else doing something else and they
Mhm.
just happened to see it.
Yeah.
But just call and just ask, because the most anybody could say is no, or
Mhm.
we don't have it right now, or, and it's so well worth it. It
Mhm.
is the most rewarding, like what I get to do in all of my stuff together is the most rewarding life that I can possibly see for myself.
Mhm.
And I have had 4 different occasions. I always said I have 9 lives. I've gone through 4 of them. I've only got 5 left. So I want to make sure and do something that's impactful to the community that I came from and just to the world at large. Because if you don't give back, we lost the former president of our university a couple weeks ago, Dr.
Mhm.
Paul Stanton, and his creed actually came from John Wesley, which was do all the good you can in all the ways you can in all the time that you have, in all the places that you can, every minute that you can.
Mhm.
And that was so impactful to me as a college student that I'm like, okay, I got to do that.
Mhm.
And I keep those weird little words of wisdom with me in just about everything that I do. So I'm always willing to take part and do something and be adventurous, unless it has a snake involved, and then I'm out. Um,
You don't like snakes?
I don't, but I don't know that I don't like snakes. So
Mhm.
when you're from that part of Appalachia, and like from a teeny tiny age, every time you step out the door, somebody's like, "Watch for copperheads! Watch
Yeah.
for copperheads!" I don't know that I ever saw a copperhead
Yeah, I was
snake,
gonna say, have you seen one?
but so many people said it. Now I have seen snakes, green snakes, garden
Mhm.
snakes, black snakes, stuff like that. But you were always watching for this copperhead so much that I think it just put this really healthy
Mhm.
fear in. So now I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna, because just in case, like it's a copperhead in disguise as like a python or something,
Mhm.
let me not.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we have pythons here, do we? Are there any pythons here?
Hopefully not
Might
out of the
be.
pet store. We have rattlesnakes. They
Yeah.
actually bring rattlesnakes in and leave them here. I'm like, that is crazy. Please don't. Like,
Like
leave
what?
them
Leave them
wherever.
outside?
Well, leave them in whatever state you brought them from.
Oh, that's what you mean. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, no, I've never seen a copperhead, but I've actually seen more black widows since we've lived here.
Oh, wow.
Um, than we had one up in Connecticut, I remember, and Brian was like, "Oh, it's a black widow," and he like shooed it away, and I was like,
You
"What?"
touched it.
I mean, I've seen arachnophobia. I was like, terrifying. And then we ended up seeing a few black widows, right, like at the end, like at fall, and like one of them, my gosh, she was like pew, huge, and she was beautiful and shiny. And I was looking at it, and then I just like she was on the back. I picked up a rock, and she was on the back of a rock, and I was like, that is a black widow. And then I like put the rock down, and I was like, okay, take a second, breathe. And then Brian and I were like, we need to, our black widows really as deadly as we were raised to believe that they were, just like your copperhead. Watch it for copperheads. So we looked it up, and you actually, it's very rare that you'll die from a black widow spider bite. You'll get really sick. And there's like people that have YouTube videos where they've, the bite videos. So they've
Yes.
done like, bites from black widows and stuff. And it's just like, that's ridiculous. Don't do that. But so we realized like, okay, you won't generally die. It's just a really painful bite and it's gonna sting for a few days. There you go. And so then after we like, researched and we were like, okay, then we didn't feel like as badly because then we saw the black widow and we were like, we're gonna die. And we like took it to like this extreme. But now every spider that our boys see, because we showed them, we're like, listen, this is a black widow. Don't touch it if you see it. Like, just leave it alone. To come and get us. Like, don't touch it. And so it's all about just educating to make sure that we don't not all raised with these irrational fears.
See, that is what, and
Uh,
weirdly, I have no irrational fears of spiders because of books. Maybe somebody should have
yeah,
given me a snake book when I was,
yeah,
but you read Charlotte's Web and you're just like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that's Charlotte.
yeah. It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cute.
But I didn't get the one with the snake. So
Yeah.
then the fear.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Snakes go back to biblical times too. It's not like snakes have a great connotation from biblical times either. The serpent in the garden. Psst, there you go, a snake.
This is true.
So
Which
it's
also could have come because, like, we had my parents were not uberly religious, but my grandparents were. So, of course,
mhm.
the Baptist there, it's not like, are you Baptist? It's
Yeah,
what sect of
yeah,
Baptist are
yeah,
you?
yeah.
because there's a difference between, the old regular and
Mhm.
the new Baptists.
Mhm.
And
I feel like there's a story there.
so we were judged a lot as kids just because, and we had to be at the church with their grandparents, but we didn't go to the Christian school. And God forbid I wore pants.
Mhm.
I wore pants
Oh, to church?
anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, okay.
like we weren't allowed to wear them to church, but because I went to school and wore pants. And then when we grew up a little later, both my brother and I were lifeguards, and oh my goodness, swimsuits. And they were not the Duggar-ized swimsuits. But then I will also say, if you've seen in the headlines today, maybe being Duggarish wasn't the way to go.
Yeah. Wait, didn't one of them just get
Arrested again.
yeah,
That's
for
the
what was
second
it?
one.
I'm gonna blow this out.
Crimes
Okay.
against children.
That's sad. I don't even want to know what kind of crimes.
That is what that is. Those are kind of all the way around for me. They're the hardest stories and they're the hardest things to hear because I feel like that's probably a cyclical thing for them. And they were so, um, but even in my work, that's the hardest thing. I like puppies and children.
Mhm.
And old people probably third, but
Mhm.
they can't do anything. They
Mhm.
didn't do anything wrong. They
Mhm.
can't do anything to help themselves. Why are
Mhm.
you going to cause them harm?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, I think I did see something about that, but I take all of my news with a grain of salt, and I try not to read too much of it either. Um, just because I don't at this point I don't know what's true and what's not anymore. Because you can find a story and then you can go on the internet and you can find whatever answer, whether it's true or it's not true, that you want to find. You just have to look for it. And then you can justify yourself into a hole, and then you don't know. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's it's difficult. So how would you help somebody like me? Because I mean, you're doing news on your show. How, like, it's just so difficult to trust news sources these days.
It is. First of all, I tell them the definition of a news place.
What is
So,
it?
so first of all, and I'm gonna break some hearts and make half the other people mad.
Okay.
Fox News and MSNBC are not news channels.
Hmm.
They are clearly defined with the FCC as entertainment channels, and they are there for the person that is watching them.
Hmm.
You are going to hear what you want to hear
Hmm.
from that particular side, be it
Yep.
one or the other. My advice is always to go to the sites where they can't lie. So go to the government sites where they have to list the data, because that's going to tell you what you need to know. There is also the congressional oversight. It's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Um, it will give you a lot of information, especially about like budgetary spending and stuff. And the other part is know the difference between a news person and a commentator. So what you will see a lot on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News are commentators. They are
Hmm.
people who are not news people. They deliver a little bit of news and then they hold a panel with people from one side or the other, and that is their job to get those quotes to make one side look foolish or another side look better. You want the straight news. So
Hmm.
stay with a straight news channel. Watch NBC Nightly News, watch WCYB or WJHL, because your locals are going to give you
Hmm.
that. And then when you're on the internet and you see something, always double check it. Because, like you said, if you are in support or against it, you're always going to find something on the internet that will back up your opinion.
Hmm.
Read the stuff that doesn't back
Hmm.
up your opinion, because that is likely where you're going to find truth. It lives somewhere in the middle, and
Yeah.
everybody has taken the piece of the pie that works best for them
Hmm.
and says, okay, we did this or we did this. And I I try not to do too much of that.
Hmm.
I do politicians, but I don't let them speak on about and I don't put things that aren't true out there, and I double and triple check my sources. So if you get good local journalists or good national journalists, Christiane Amanpour, she is one of the best correspondents that has ever existed. She works for CNN, so a lot of people disregard her specifically because of the company she works for.
Hmm.
No, she's a true journalist. She's going to tell you how it is, whether you like it or not. She spent years cultivating these international sources in order to know these things. So if she says it, trust her.
Hmm.
Um, if you see a guy and there are three people around them and they're all arguing about it, it's probably that none of them know anything or just enough to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all going to give you their points that are paid for by whatever side.
Yeah.
And I that is the thing. The worst thing that ever happened to news, as much as I love it myself, is the 24-hour news cycle. Because when you had that much time to fill and people get tired of you just doing news stories over and over and over,
Mm-hmm.
then you have things like commentary that start to creep in. And that is a dangerous thing because then you are taking someone else's opinion as fact.
Mm-hmm. I know, and that's a common thing these days is that everybody's giving their opinion, and there isn't any factual anything behind it. It just gets muddled, everything.
Yes.
And I think we have too much information at this point with everything. And it's exhausting.
I think that is why some of the younger generations are starting to unplug some. They're
Mhm.
starting to get rid of some of the streaming services and they're starting to buy a lot of LPs. I did a little tidbit the other day for the first time since 1983, they
Mhm.
hit over $1 billion sales in vinyl.
Hmm.
And because people are looking for that simplicity
Mhm.
that, especially these kids, because they've never known it. They've grown
Mhm.
up in such a digital age with
Mhm.
information at their fingertips, which for us and in workflow is a great tool
Mhm.
for the outside world, and every day is not, because then
Mhm.
it breeds bullying, and there's 84 other realms. I don't know if you would feel this way with your sons. Some people do or don't, and I guess it's a little different for them. It's still the same. But I see all these people, and I've seen like eat this gelatin thing for probably like 6 days in a row. They are doing what the magazines did to us in the early 90s and 2000s, which are if you are not stick sized, you are not worthy.
Mhm.
And for sons, I know that I saw this entire debate on TikTok from this one woman who commented that there was a kid and he was buying like lip gloss or something in a store, and that's not a man. Let your children cry. I'm like, let that person be that person and their parents parent them.
Mhm.
That is not your job to parent other people's children.
Mhm.
I so want to. I wanted to. Two little kids were playing and they were very close to the street yesterday. And it took everything I had not to like yell across the street and be like, don't be near this street. But then I was like, their parent is right there. It's not my job to parent their kids
Mhm.
unless you give me permission. And then my children's friends all day, every day, I'll be like, don't you do that. I heard
Mhm.
you did this.
Mhm.
But you can't do that. But
Mhm.
everybody does. That's not male enough. That's not. I'm like, leave them alone.
Mhm.
This is a kid who was probably like 7 years old. He has no idea about gender conformity or any of the other stuff that's going on in the world that adults are fighting about. He saw some really cool color because I think it was like a silver or some sort of metallic-y. He saw a really cool color that for him was almost like paint. It wasn't a thing to him. He wasn't trying to get made up. He wasn't like becoming a 6-year-old drag queen. He
Mhm.
saw a cool color.
Mhm.
And you just created an entire thing about him on the internet and caused controversy that this kid 20 years from now is going to be like the
Yeah.
lip gloss kid.
I mean, that might have messed him up even more
Yes.
because maybe it was something small and innocent that had nothing to do with anything for him. Because once again, he's 7, and then we just impose either our insecurities or our things that we think of. Like it happens all day, every day.
And I can so imagine being that person because me, if I saw a motorcycle helmet, even though I don't ride motorcycles and it was purple and sparkly, I would be like, I need that. Like that is my color. That is so something like metallic and sparkly. It's
Yeah.
just cool.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't even know it's lip gloss. It's just a cool color.
Yeah. You okay, Brian? Oh, okay. I don't know if you were standing there for like you needed to do something, you needed to interject. I actually have to go to the bathroom. Is that okay? Can I go to the bathroom? Can we pause? Is that okay? Do you have to go to the bathroom or anything?
I don't, but I do need to know a look at the time.
Okay. It is 10 after 11.
Oh my gosh, is it?
Yeah, do we need
Oh,
to wrap it up?
yes. Oh, yes.
Wait, hold on. Should we wrap it up? Let's
Yes,
wrap it
let's
up.
wrap
then.
it
Oh,
up.
wait. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I'm not going to go to the bathroom. We're going to wrap this up. It's 10 after 11. But thank you so much, Crystal, for just coming and sharing just some nuggets about just entertainment industry, about being a news anchor, also being like on the radio, all the things, parenting, learning about Appalachia a little bit. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you or see you or hear you?
So you can see and hear me. The show goes really early. It's on radio and television, so that's Me TV and Cozy TV, which I think your channels like 19 and 24. And that's where you'll find a closer look, or you can find it, of course, online. You can
Mhm.
just search a closer look Tri Cities and it will show up. I am on the air on Classic Hits 1027 from 3 to 7 every day as CC writer, and you can hear me do news on WTFM.
Cool. Thank you so much, Crystal.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This episode is powered by OutPost Roasters, small batch, high quality coffee with soul. OutPost Roasters in Johnson City specializes in freshly roasted, small batch, ethically sourced, fair trade local coffee. That's what sets them apart from the big guys. They work directly with small farms and co ops to ensure responsible practices and rich, balanced flavor in every single cup. Whether it's early mornings or late nights, their 12-ounce bags deliver bold, smooth coffee at a totally fair price. Head to outpostroastersjc.com to explore their blends and single origins. Outpost Roasters, coffee that's definitely worth waking up for.